What did people eat in Jesus' times? 1. Bread. Bread was the most essential food. It was synonymous with sustenance. Any crumbs bigger than an olive were gathered. Bread was never cut, only broken. The poor ate barley bread. The rich ate wheat bread. The loaves were usually round. 2. Milk. Cow milk was rare. There were relatively few cows in the arid Middle East. Ewe and goat milk were much more popular. It tended to spoil quickly, so cheese was very common. 3. Honey. Honey was the main sweetener used in cooking. Cane sugar was unknown in Israel, but honey was so abundant it was exported. Thickened gelified grape juice was also used as a sweetener. 4. Meat. Only the wealthy could afford to eat meat every day. For the poor, it was confined to major holidays. An older animal would be chosen for slaughtering. It was usually fattened in advance. Goat and lamb were the most popular types of meat. Chickens were scarce in Israel. Pork was forbidden, and cows were rare. Calves were sometimes slaughtered, but only for the rich. At the Last Supper, Jesus probably ate lamb. Luke chapter 22 verse 7 states, "Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed." Sacrificial animals were cooked and eaten afterward. 5. Fish. For most common people, fish was more important than meat. Bread and fish made up a common meal. This is illustrated by the miracle of the loaves and the fishes. At the lakeside in Galilee, Jesus also cooks fish over a fire. Fish was eaten soon after being caught. Any leftovers were heavily salted to preserve them. Fish also served as the basis of garum. This Roman fish sauce was made with vinegar, wine, or oil. Garum became very popular in Israel around the time of Jesus. 6. Nuts and bitter herbs. These were staple foods because they were cheap. Indeed, nuts and herbs were often picked in the wild. Bitter herbs are mentioned in the Bible. They were parts of the original Passover feast in Exodus 12:8. This phrase referred to watercress, parsley, and endives. Nuts were usually roasted. Pistachios and almonds were the most common varieties. 7. Olives. Jesus and his disciples probably ate olives every day. Olive oil was likewise an integral part of the diet. In fact, this hasn't changed in the Mediterranean. Olive trees are plentiful in Israel. Olive oil was often used to flavor bread or as a dip. 8. Fruit. The most important fruits were figs and dates. They were served after a meal as a dessert. Grapes and pomegranates were also common, but they were only available seasonally. Figs and dates, however, could be dried and preserved. They were often made into haroset. It's a type of thick spread that's still popular today as a Passover dish. Haroset sometimes includes apples, nuts, spices, and citrus juices. It's often served as a topping for unleavened bread. 9. Seasonings. Salt was abundant in Israel, thanks to the Dead Sea. It was used to preserve certain foods. Spices included mustard, cumin, saffron, coriander, and mallow. Pepper, however, was scarce and expensive. So was cinnamon. These spices were imported from the Far East. They were only available to the very wealthy. 10. Wine. According to the Bible, God taught Noah to make wine. This shows how important it was to the Jews. Vineyards and grapes were abundant in ancient Israel. The grapes were occasionally eaten directly, but most of them went toward making wine. Jesus and the apostles drank wine all the time. It was served during the Last Supper too. According to Jesus, wine is even available in heaven.
"I tell you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on, until that day, when I drink it anew with you, in my Father's kingdom."
Matthew 26:29.